1957. By the late 1950s, the American automotive world was obsessed with one thing: the future. Everything was changing. Cars were becoming lower, longer, and more dramatic. Chrome was everywhere. Tail fins were growing larger. Manufacturers were trying to make every vehicle look like it came from the next decade. But while most of this attention was focused on passenger cars, one question remained: could a pickup truck become stylish? For decades, pickups had been simple machines. They were bought by farmers, workers, and businesses. Nobody expected a truck to be fashionable. A pickup was supposed to carry things, not make a statement. But Chrysler wanted to challenge that idea. The result was one of the strangest factory pickups of the 1950s, the 1957 Dodge D100 Sweptside. Built by Chrysler, the Sweptside was Dodge's attempt to bring passenger car styling into the pickup world. And the company did something unusual. Instead of simply adding chrome or changing the grille, Dodge changed the entire personality of the truck. The most famous feature was the rear body design. The Sweptside borrowed styling elements from Dodge station wagons, especially the dramatic side panels that flowed along the rear of the truck. These panels created a completely different appearance compared with a normal pickup bed. The result was visually confusing. From the front, it looked like a regular Dodge pickup, a tough work vehicle, something designed for farms and construction. But from the side, it looked almost like a station wagon had been transformed into a truck. The rear quarter panels gave it a long, smooth, passenger car-inspired shape that was completely unusual for a pickup. It was almost like Dodge asked, what if a family car and a work truck became the same vehicle? And the answer was the Sweptside. The engineering idea behind it was actually clever. Dodge wanted to attract buyers who liked the practicality of a pickup but did not want something that looked purely industrial. The 1950s were a period when more Americans were buying vehicles for personal use. The suburbs were growing, families wanted comfortable vehicles, and manufacturers were starting to understand that appearance mattered. The Sweptside was one of the early examples of a pickup trying to become something more than just a tool. It was a lifestyle vehicle before that term even existed. The interior could be equipped with more passenger car-like features. The exterior looked more refined than traditional trucks. The goal was to make the pickup feel less like equipment and more like a personal vehicle. But the problem was timing. The market was not fully ready. Most traditional pickup buyers still had a very specific idea of what a pickup should be. It needed to be strong, simple, practical, easy to repair, a truck that looked like a truck. The Sweptside confused that expectation. Some buyers saw it as too fancy, others saw it as unnecessary. Why pay extra for a truck that looked like a car? And that question limited its success. The Sweptside was never a major sales success compared with mainstream Dodge pickups. It was a niche product, an experiment, a design statement. And because it was not produced in huge numbers, many examples eventually disappeared. But rarity was not caused only by production numbers. Like most working trucks, many Sweptsides were actually used. They hauled equipment, carried supplies, worked on farms, served small businesses. They were not treated as collectible vehicles when new. Owners used them until they were tired. And over decades, many were lost to rust, accidents, neglect, or simple replacement. The ones that survived often became collector vehicles because they represented something unusual, not just another pickup, but a moment when manufacturers were experimenting with what a truck could become. The Sweptside reveals something important about the future of pickups. At the time, it looked strange because it mixed two categories that were supposed to remain separate, a car and a truck. But decades later, that idea would become extremely common. Modern pickups would gain luxury interiors, special appearance packages, comfort features, sport trims, lifestyle branding. The idea that a truck could be both practical and personal would eventually dominate the market. The Sweptside was simply early, very early. It was trying to create a vehicle category that did not fully exist yet, and that is why it remains so interesting today. The 1957 Dodge D100 Sweptside was not the strongest truck, it was not the fastest, it was not the most successful, but it was one of the most imaginative. A pickup wearing a station wagon costume, a work truck trying to become a family car, a strange experiment from an era when manufacturers were willing to try almost anything. And sometimes, the weirdest ideas are the ones people remember. 1961. By the early 1960s, the American automotive industry is still trying to answer a difficult question. What exactly should a small utility vehicle be? For decades, the pickup truck had a clear purpose. It was a work machine, a vehicle built around hauling, durability, and simplicity. But the world was changing. People were moving into suburbs. Outdoor recreation was becoming more popular. Families wanted vehicles that could do more than just carry cargo. They wanted something that could drive to work during the week and disappear into the wilderness on the weekend. Large trucks could handle tough terrain, but they were often too big, expensive, and inefficient for many drivers. Cars were comfortable, but they lacked capability. There was a gap in the market, and International Harvester was one of the companies trying to fill it. The result was the International Scout 800 Half Cab. Built by International Harvester, the Scout was not designed to follow traditional pickup rules. It was something completely different. A compact off-road machine, a utility vehicle, a small truck, a vehicle that existed somewhere between categories. And that was exactly what made it so unusual. The Scout 800 Half Cab took the already unique Scout platform and added a pickup-style rear section with a shortened roof design. The front half looked like a small SUV. The rear half looked like a compact pickup. The roof ended halfway through the body, creating a shape that immediately caught attention. It almost looked like someone took two different vehicles and combined them into one. From the front, it had the appearance of a rugged adventure vehicle. The upright windshield, the short hood, the tall stance, the simple functional design. But when viewed from the side, the half-cab layout created a completely different personality. The rear cargo area was exposed. The roof stopped behind the front seats. The proportions were unlike any normal American pickup. It was not long like a Ford F-Series. It was not wide like a Chevrolet CK. It was not trying to dominate the road. Instead, it was compact, maneuverable, and designed to go where larger vehicles struggled. And that was the biggest strength of the Scout. Because while traditional pickups were built for carrying heavy loads, the Scout was built for versatility. It could explore rough trails, travel through mud, handle snow, carry equipment, and still be small enough for everyday driving. In many ways, it was an early example of the modern adventure vehicle. Long before SUVs became a major part of the American market, vehicles like the Scout were already exploring the idea. But the half-cab version was especially strange because it highlighted the Scout's identity crisis. It was not a traditional pickup. The cargo area was too small for serious hauling. The body was too compact compared with full-size trucks. It did not have the intimidating appearance buyers associated with heavy-duty work vehicles. But it was also not a normal SUV. The open rear section gave it a working personality. It was a tool when needed, an adventure vehicle when desired. And that flexibility was both its advantage and its weakness, because buyers often like vehicles that are easy to understand. A pickup has a bed, a wagon carries passengers, a sports car is built for speed. The Scout half cab did not fit neatly into any single category. It was a little bit of everything. And in the early 1960s, that confused many buyers. The average American customer was still becoming familiar with compact utility vehicles. The idea of a small off-road truck had not fully entered mainstream culture. So while the Scout attracted a loyal group of owners, it never reached the popularity levels of the biggest manufacturers. Another factor was International Harvester itself. Unlike General Motors or Ford Motor Company, International did not have the same massive consumer vehicle presence. The company was famous for agricultural equipment and commercial machinery. That gave the Scout a strong reputation for toughness, but it also limited its exposure. Fewer dealers, smaller marketing reach, less ability to compete against Detroit's largest companies. And because of that, fewer Scouts were produced compared with mainstream pickups. Many surviving examples also faced a difficult life. The Scout was not a garage-kept luxury vehicle. It was built to be used. Many owners took them seriously off-road. They drove them through harsh environments. They worked them on farms. They pushed them beyond what ordinary cars could survive. And that meant many were eventually worn out. Frames rusted, bodies deteriorated, mechanical components aged. A vehicle designed for adventure often experienced the hardest kind of ownership. This is why clean, original half-cab Scouts are increasingly difficult to find today. Not because they were never popular, but because they were built for action. And vehicles built for action rarely remain untouched. Looking back, the International Scout 800 half cab is important because it represents a future that was still developing. It showed that a vehicle could combine passenger comfort, off-road ability, and cargo usefulness. It challenged the idea that every truck needed to be large. It proved that capability did not always require size. And many decades later, the automotive world would embrace exactly this philosophy. Compact SUVs, adventure vehicles, lifestyle pickups, modern off-road trucks. All of these ideas can trace part of their history back to experiments like the Scout. The 1961 International Scout 800 half cab may have looked like a vehicle that could not decide what it wanted to be. A truck? An SUV? An off-road machine? The answer was actually all three. And that strange combination is exactly why people still remember it. A vehicle that looked unfinished, but was actually ahead of its time. 1971. By the early 1970s, the American automotive world is entering a new era. The traditional pickup truck is no longer the only answer for people who want utility. A new type of vehicle is gaining attention. The recreational vehicle, the adventure machine. The idea that a vehicle should not only carry equipment, but also carry an entire lifestyle. The country is seeing a growing interest in camping, road trips, hunting, fishing, and exploring remote areas. People want freedom. They want to leave the city behind. And manufacturers begin asking a new question. What if a vehicle could take you anywhere and also become your home? General Motors had already created the Chevrolet K5 Blazer, a truck-based SUV designed to compete with vehicles like the Ford Bronco and other off-road machines. The Blazer was built on a tough truck platform. It had a strong frame, four-wheel drive capability, a rugged design. It could handle dirt roads, trails, snow, and rough terrain. But some customers wanted more. They did not just want a vehicle that could reach the wilderness. They wanted a vehicle they could live in once they arrived. That idea created the Chevrolet Blazer Chalet, and it might be one of the strangest factory-built adventure vehicles ever produced. The concept was simple. Take the K5 Blazer, add a camper, create a complete travel machine. The theory was brilliant, a compact motorhome that was smaller than a full-size RV, but more capable off-road. A vehicle that could drive into places traditional campers could not reach, the ultimate weekend explorer. But visually, the result was unforgettable. The Blazer Chalet looked like someone took a normal SUV and placed a small cabin on top of it. The front half looked familiar, a normal Chevrolet Blazer. The hood, the grille, the windshield, everything looked like a traditional 4x4. Then the rear section completely changed the personality of the vehicle. The camper body rose above the original roofline. It became taller, boxier, much more vertical. The smooth SUV shape suddenly transformed into something resembling a tiny house on wheels. The proportions were unusual. The front looked like a vehicle designed for adventure. The back looked like a miniature building that had somehow learned to drive. Compared with normal pickups and SUVs of the era, the Chalet looked almost cartoonish. It was not ugly in a traditional sense, it was simply impossible to ignore, and that was part of its charm. The Blazer Chalet was built for people who valued function over appearance. Inside the camper section, the goal was maximum usefulness. It provided sleeping space, storage, a small living area, basic camping amenities. It allowed owners to travel without needing hotels or traditional campsites. For long road trips, it offered a level of freedom that ordinary SUVs could not provide. The idea was decades ahead of many modern overlanding vehicles. Today, people build adventure rigs with rooftop tents, sleeping platforms, and expedition equipment. The Chalet was doing something similar long before that trend became popular. But in the 1970s, the concept came with serious compromises. The biggest issue was weight. Adding a camper structure changed the entire character of the Blazer. The vehicle became taller and heavier, the center of gravity increased, handling changed, acceleration became slower, fuel consumption increased. And while the Blazer platform was strong, carrying a large camper body pushed it beyond the simple SUV formula. It was no longer just an off-road vehicle, it was a small motorhome. And motorhomes have very different demands. Another challenge was practicality. The Chalet was not as spacious as a full-size RV, but it was much larger and less efficient than a normal Blazer. It occupied an awkward middle ground, too big to behave like a simple SUV, too small to replace a full camper. That in-between identity limited its appeal. Many buyers understood the idea, but fewer people were willing to accept the compromises. The market was changing. The 1970s brought rising fuel prices and increasing concerns about economy. Large, heavy recreational vehicles became harder to justify for some buyers. The era of unlimited fuel and massive vehicles was beginning to fade. Vehicles like the Blazer Chalet suddenly seemed less practical, and because production was limited, many did not survive. Those that did often lived difficult lives. They were used for camping, driven through harsh conditions, parked outdoors, exposed to weather. The camper sections were especially vulnerable because age and moisture could damage them over time. Many examples deteriorated beyond repair. Others were modified by owners who removed the camper body or changed the vehicle completely. So original examples became increasingly rare. Today, the Chevrolet Blazer Chalet is remembered differently, not as a failure, but as an experiment, a bold attempt to combine two worlds before the market fully understood the idea. It was not just an SUV, it was not just a camper, it was a rolling vacation home built on a truck chassis, a vehicle that looked like Chevrolet took a normal Blazer, parked it next to a small cabin, and decided, why not combine them? And that ridiculous idea is exactly why people still remember it today. 1978. By the late 1970s, the American pickup truck is no longer just a working machine defined purely by utility. It is becoming something more visible in everyday culture. Trucks are appearing not only on farms and job sites, but also in suburban driveways, shopping centers, and family road trips. The pickup is slowly shifting from an industrial tool into a personal vehicle, and that shift changes everything about how manufacturers think. Ford Motor Company, already dominant in the truck market with its F-Series lineup, begins exploring ways to make its pickups more emotionally appealing to buyers who are no longer choosing vehicles only for work purposes. The Ford F-150 Explorer Special emerges from this environment. It is not a mechanical revolution, it is a visual and cultural experiment. At its core, the truck remains a standard Ford F-Series platform, strong, durable, designed for towing, hauling, and long-term use under demanding conditions. There is nothing fundamentally new about its engineering compared with regular production models. The difference is entirely in its personality, and that personality is loud, very loud. The Explorer Special Package transforms the truck's appearance in a way that immediately separates it from standard work-oriented pickups of the era. Bright exterior colors are paired with bold graphics that run along the sides of the body. Stripes stretch across the doors and bed panels in patterns that feel almost exaggerated compared to the more conservative styling of earlier decades. The overall visual effect is not subtle, it is intentionally expressive. Where earlier pickups were designed to blend into work environments, the Explorer Special is designed to stand out in any environment. On the road, it does not disappear into the background, it demands attention. Even at a distance, it is instantly recognizable as something different from a standard utility truck. This approach reflects a broader change in automotive marketing during the late 1970s. Manufacturers are beginning to understand that emotional appeal can be just as important as mechanical specification. A vehicle is no longer judged only by its payload capacity or engine durability. It is also judged by how it makes the owner feel, how it looks parked in front of a house, how it reflects personality. And the Explorer Special is very much a product of that shift. It does not aim to increase horsepower, it does not introduce advanced mechanical systems. Instead, it focuses on identity, on giving the owner a sense that their truck is not just functional, but also expressive. However, this kind of styling also divides opinion. For some buyers, especially those who still view trucks primarily as work tools, the bold graphics and bright colors feel unnecessary. A pickup should be practical, durable, and understated. In that view, decoration does not add value, it only adds visual noise. But for other buyers, the Explorer Special represents something new and exciting. It turns the truck into a lifestyle object, a vehicle that feels more personal, more individual, more aligned with the growing idea that cars and trucks can reflect taste and identity, not just occupation. This tension between practicality and personality becomes a defining theme in pickup evolution, and the Explorer Special sits directly in the middle of that transition. Mechanically, it remains dependable and familiar, but visually it pushes boundaries that earlier trucks would never have considered. It is not faster than a standard F-150, it is not stronger or more capable in any measurable way, but it feels different. And that feeling is the entire point. Over time, however, vehicles like this often face a similar fate in terms of survival, because special appearance packages are rarely preserved with the same care as limited production performance models. Many Explorer special trucks are used exactly like standard pickups. They haul materials, they perform daily work tasks, they endure weather, road salt, and heavy use, and eventually they are replaced when they reach the end of their service life. Few owners at the time think of them as collectible. They are simply trucks with a different appearance. As a result, original examples become increasingly rare over time, not because they were rare when new, but because they were not preserved intentionally. Many were repainted, modified, repaired with non-original parts, or simply worn down through decades of use. But despite that, the Explorer Special remains important in pickup history because it represents a turning point in how trucks are perceived. It shows the moment when a pickup begins to move beyond pure utility and starts to enter the world of lifestyle branding. It is an early step toward modern concepts where trucks are offered with appearance packages, sport trims, off-road aesthetics, and personality-driven design choices. In that sense, the 1978 Ford F-150 Explorer Special is remembered because it helped redefine what a truck could look like. A working machine, yes, but also something expressive, something bold, something that, for the first time, was not afraid to stand out simply for the sake of style. 1981. By the early 1980s, the American pickup truck market is in the middle of a quiet but very important transformation. For most of the 20th century, pickups had a very stable identity. They were large, rugged, and heavily work-focused machines, built primarily for hauling, towing, and agricultural or industrial use. Their design language reflected that purpose very clearly. Long wheelbases, body-on-frame construction, simple interiors, and a strong emphasis on durability over comfort or refinement. But by the 1980s, several forces begin to reshape that identity. Fuel prices from the previous decade have permanently changed how buyers think about efficiency. Insurance costs make high-displacement vehicles less attractive to younger drivers. Urban environments are expanding, making large vehicles less convenient in daily life. And perhaps most importantly, a new generation of buyers is entering the market with different expectations. They are not always farmers or industrial workers. They are students, outdoor enthusiasts, commuters, and young families. People who want practicality, but not necessarily in the form of a large, heavy truck. This creates space for a very different kind of pickup to exist. And one of the most unusual responses to that demand comes from Japan, the Subaru BRAT. At first glance, it almost looks like it does not belong in the same category as traditional American pickups at all. It is small, lightweight, minimalistic in appearance, and visually closer to a compact car with a rear cargo section than a conventional truck. Built by Subaru, it reflects a completely different engineering philosophy compared to Detroit manufacturers. Instead of maximizing size and torque, Subaru focuses on efficiency, traction, and simplicity. The BRAT is built on a passenger car-derived platform, which immediately gives it a different character from body-on-frame American trucks. It feels lighter on the road, more responsive in steering, and more car-like in everyday driving behavior. But despite its small size, it is still designed to perform light utility tasks. It has a functional cargo bed. It can carry equipment. It can handle outdoor gear, small loads, and general-purpose transport. It is not meant to replace a full-size work truck. It is meant to fill a different role entirely: a personal utility vehicle, a small adventure machine, something that can handle both daily driving and recreational use without the cost or size of a traditional pickup. But what truly defines the Subaru BRAT in automotive history is not its size or efficiency, it is its seating arrangement. In the rear cargo bed, Subaru installed two molded forward-facing seats. These seats were integrated into the body of the truck and equipped with seat belts. They were not decorative, they were functional, and they completely changed the perception of what a pickup truck could be. Because traditionally, the cargo area of a pickup truck is reserved exclusively for goods, tools, and materials. Passengers are supposed to sit in the enclosed cabin. The BRAT challenges that assumption directly. It introduces the idea that even the cargo area can be used for human transport. From a modern safety perspective, this concept feels almost unthinkable. But in the context of the early 1980s, it reflects both creative engineering and regulatory adaptation. Subaru was also navigating import classification rules and tariff structures that influenced how vehicles were categorized in the United States. By adding rear seats, the BRAT could be classified differently in certain regulatory contexts, which helped it enter the market more effectively. So the design is not just quirky, it is also shaped by economic and legal strategy. This combination of practicality and regulatory creativity produces one of the most unusual pickup configurations ever sold in America. And unsurprisingly, it immediately stands out from domestic competitors. Compared to full-size American trucks from Ford Motor Company, Chevrolet, and Dodge, the BRAT looks almost toy-like in size. Where American trucks project strength through mass and presence, the BRAT projects capability through compact efficiency. Where traditional trucks emphasize torque and towing, the BRAT emphasizes lightness and versatility. This difference in philosophy creates a strong divide in perception. Many American buyers initially view it as too small to be serious, not powerful enough, not rugged enough, not aligned with the traditional image of a pickup. But for a different group of buyers, the BRAT represents something refreshing. It's affordable, it's easy to drive, it's practical for light work, and it's genuinely enjoyable in everyday use, especially in environments where large trucks are inconvenient or unnecessary. Urban areas, mountain roads, snowy regions, coastal towns, recreational areas where utility is needed but heavy-duty capability is not. In those contexts, the BRAT begins to make sense in a way that larger trucks sometimes do not. And over time, that's where its reputation grows, not as a dominant horsework, but as a specialized tool with personality. However, like many compact vehicles of its era, the BRAT faces a long-term survival challenge. Because it was not treated as a collector vehicle during its production years, it was purchased as affordable transportation, used for commuting, used for outdoor activities, used for general daily life, and in many cases, used heavily without special preservation. Over time, this leads to natural attrition. Mechanical wear accumulates. Bodies suffer from rust, especially in regions with harsh winters. Interior components age, and many vehicles are eventually retired rather than restored. Modifications also play a role in survival rates. Some BRATs are lifted, modified for off-road use, or altered for personal preference. Others are repaired with non-original parts that reduce factory authenticity. All of this contributes to the gradual disappearance of original condition examples. What remains today is a much smaller population of well-preserved BRATs than once existed on the road. But their rarity is not accidental. It is the result of how they were originally used. Because the BRAT was never positioned as a high-value collector vehicle. It was a practical, affordable, and unusual solution to a specific market need. Looking at it historically, the Subaru BRAT represents a very important shift in pickup evolution. It demonstrates that utility vehicles do not need to follow a single dominant formula. That size is not the only way to define capability. That efficiency and creativity can produce entirely different kinds of functionality. And that global automotive design is not uniform, but shaped by different cultural and regulatory environments. In the American context, pickups were evolving toward larger, more powerful machines with strong cultural identity. In Japan, vehicles like the BRAT were evolving toward compact efficiency and multi-purpose design. When these two philosophies meet in the same market, the result is something unusual, memorable, and often misunderstood. And that's exactly why the Subaru BRAT stands out. Not because it was the most powerful, not because it was the most advanced, but because it represented a completely different answer to the same question. What should a pickup truck be when size is no longer the only answer? 1983. By the early 1980s, the American automotive industry is still adjusting to the aftermath of the 1970s energy crisis and the long-term shift it triggered in consumer expectations. The idea of bigger is always better is no longer universally accepted. Fuel economy has become a real concern. Urban driving conditions are more common, and manufacturers are under pressure to create vehicles that are smaller, more efficient, and more adaptable to everyday life. This is the environment in which the Dodge Rampage appears. Built by Chrysler, the Rampage is part of a broader experiment in redefining what a pickup truck can be when it is no longer tied exclusively to heavy-duty work. The concept behind it seems straightforward at first. Take a compact passenger car platform, add a cargo bed, create a lightweight pickup that is affordable, efficient, and easy to drive. On paper, it is a logical response to changing market conditions, a bridge between small cars and traditional trucks, a vehicle designed for people who do not need full-size hauling capacity but still want the usefulness of an open bed. But reality is rarely as clean as the concept, and the Dodge Rampage quickly reveals the tension built into its design philosophy. From a visual standpoint, it immediately breaks expectations. American pickup trucks have always carried a strong presence. They are tall, wide, visually dominant on the road. Even compact trucks usually try to maintain a sense of toughness and rugged identity. The Rampage does something very different. It looks small, light, almost delicate compared with the full-size pickups from Ford Motor Company, Chevrolet, and Dodge's own larger models. Its proportions are closer to a compact hatchback with a rear utility section than a traditional work truck, and that creates an immediate perception problem, because in the American truck market, size is not just about capability, it's also about identity. A truck is expected to look strong even before it proves itself mechanically. The Rampage challenges that expectation from the moment it appears on the road. Underneath its unusual shape, however, the Rampage has a very practical foundation. It is based on a front-wheel drive compact platform, which gives it car-like handling characteristics. This makes it significantly easier to drive in tight urban environments compared with larger rear-wheel drive trucks of the era. Parking is simpler, steering is lighter, visibility is more car-oriented. Fuel consumption is lower than most full-size pickups, and for light-duty tasks, it is genuinely useful. It can carry small loads, transport tools and equipment, handle weekend projects, serve as a general-purpose utility vehicle for everyday life. In many ways, it fulfills exactly what its designers intended, a compact, economical pickup for practical use. But the problem is not what it can do. The problem is how it is perceived, because truck buyers in the early 1980s are still strongly influenced by traditional expectations. They associate pickups with body-on-frame construction, rear-wheel drive, and a sense of mechanical toughness that comes from larger, heavier platforms. The Rampage does not fit that mental image, and when a vehicle does not match expectations, even good engineering can struggle to overcome perception. At the same time, car buyers also don't fully embrace it, because while it is more efficient and car-like than a traditional truck, it still carries the compromises of a pickup bed. The rear cargo area replaces part of what would normally be passenger or trunk space in a standard compact car. So for someone who simply wants a small, efficient car, the Rampage can feel like a compromise they don't need. This creates exactly the problem the vehicle is known for historically. It's stuck between categories, not fully a truck, not fully a car, and in a market that is still strongly divided between those two identities, that middle position becomes difficult to define. But from an engineering and historical perspective, the Rampage is far more interesting than its commercial performance suggests. It represents an early attempt to solve a problem that would become increasingly relevant in later decades. How do you create a utility vehicle for people who do not need traditional truck capability? How do you balance efficiency, affordability, and practicality in a single design? And how far can you move away from traditional truck architecture before the identity itself begins to change? The Rampage answers these questions not with dominance, but with experimentation. It shows what happens when a manufacturer tries to shrink the pickup formula down to its most essential elements, and in doing so, it highlights how deeply rooted cultural expectations are in vehicle design. Because even if a vehicle is practical, efficient, and useful, it still needs to feel like what buyers expect it to be. Otherwise, acceptance becomes difficult. Over time, the Rampage follows a similar fate to many niche vehicles of its era. It is produced in relatively limited numbers compared to mainstream models. It is used as daily transportation rather than preserved as a collectible. Many examples accumulate mileage quickly, serving as daily drivers for commuting, light work, or general utility use. As years pass, wear and tear, rust, and normal attrition reduce the number of surviving original condition vehicles. And because it was never a high-profile performance model or a luxury icon, it is not widely preserved in large numbers. What remains today is a relatively small group of surviving Rampages, often appreciated more by enthusiasts of unusual automotive history than by mainstream collectors. Historically, however, its importance is clear. The Dodge Rampage is one of the early examples of a compact pickup experiment in the American market. It explores the idea that trucks don't always need to be large, heavy, or aggressively styled to be useful. It attempts to redefine utility in a smaller, more efficient form. And even if it did not fully succeed in changing the market at the time, it contributed to a broader conversation that would continue for decades. Today, when compact pickups, unibody trucks, and lifestyle-oriented utility vehicles are far more common, the Rampage can be seen as an early, imperfect step in that direction, a vehicle that arrived before the market fully understood what it was trying to do. And that's often where the most interesting automotive ideas begin. 1959. By the end of the 1950s, American automotive design has reached a kind of creative peak where logic is no longer the only guiding force. Style, excess, imagination, and status have become just as important as function. Cadillac is at the very top of this world. And the El Dorado BRAT stands as one of the most extreme expressions of that philosophy. It is already a car that seems designed to be unforgettable. Massive proportions, heavy chrome presence, long, dramatic tail fins that stretch the rear profile into something almost architectural. A front end that looks more like a piece of industrial sculpture than a conventional automobile. Everything about it is built to communicate status, wealth, success, power. It is not just transportation, it is a statement, a moving symbol of American luxury in its most confident form. And yet, in the custom car culture of the late 1950s and early 1960s, there is always a group of builders who are not satisfied with even factory extremes. These are the people who take already outrageous machines and push them into entirely new territory. Out of that mindset comes one of the most surreal ideas of the era: a Cadillac El Dorado BRAT's pickup conversion. At first, the concept alone sounds almost like a joke, taking one of the most luxurious and prestigious vehicles in the world at the time and removing part of its body to create a cargo bed. But in the custom culture of the period, nothing was completely off-limits. Customization was a form of expression, and excess was often the goal rather than restraint. So the El Dorado BRAT becomes a platform for experimentation. And the result is something that feels almost contradictory in every possible way. Because the original Cadillac is designed around elegance and prestige. Its long body lines are meant to flow smoothly from front to rear without interruption. Its rear fins are not just decorative elements, but carefully integrated styling cues that define its identity. Its interior is meant to feel like a private luxury lounge, isolated from the outside world. Every detail communicates refinement. Then, the pickup conversion breaks that continuity completely. The rear section is cut and reshaped into an open cargo bed. The flowing luxury profile suddenly ends in a flat, functional space designed for hauling objects. And that contrast is what makes the vehicle so visually striking. From the front, it still looks like a Cadillac El Dorado BRAT. The chrome-heavy grille, the long hood, the dramatic presence. It looks like a vehicle belonging in front of a high-end hotel or a Hollywood boulevard. But as the eye moves toward the rear, the illusion collapses. The luxury body gives way to a utilitarian bed, a space normally associated with construction materials, tools, and working vehicles. And that clash of identities is what defines the entire concept. It is not just unusual, it is psychologically conflicting. Because the human brain tries to categorize vehicles quickly. Luxury car, truck, sports machine, utility vehicle. But the El Dorado pickup conversion refuses to settle into any one category cleanly. It is both luxury and labor, prestige and practicality, showpiece and working tool. Even if, in reality, the working aspect is often more visual than functional. In most cases, these conversions are not built for serious hauling capacity. The El Dorado platform was never designed to carry heavy loads in an open bed configuration. Structural integrity, suspension tuning, and weight distribution were all intended for passenger comfort and smooth cruising. So when converted into a pickup, the result is more visual than practical. A machine that looks like it could belong on a farm estate or a ranch owned by someone with extreme wealth and unusual taste. Not a mass-production work vehicle, but a statement piece taken to an extreme level. That is part of what makes it so memorable, because it represents a kind of automotive freedom that is rarely seen in modern design. A willingness to modify even the most prestigious vehicles without concern for convention. In the 1950s and 1960s, custom culture was deeply tied to individuality. Cars were not just purchased, they were transformed, personalized, reinterpreted. And sometimes that meant creating something that existed in no logical market category at all. The El Dorado pickup conversion is a perfect example of that mindset. It doesn't ask whether it should exist. It simply exists because someone decided to make it real. Over time, very few examples of such conversions survive, and those that do become more like automotive curiosities than practical vehicles. They are not preserved for utility, they are preserved for shock value, craftsmanship, and historical uniqueness. Looking back, the 1959 Cadillac El Dorado BRAT's pickup conversion represents the extreme edge of American automotive imagination. A moment when luxury design was so confident and customization culture so bold that even the most formal vehicles could be reinterpreted into something completely unexpected. It is not the most practical Cadillac. It is not the most sensible truck. It is not a mainstream success in any traditional sense. But it is unforgettable precisely because it ignores those rules entirely. A rolling contradiction. A luxury icon with a working bed. A machine that looks like it belongs to a millionaire who decided for no logical reason at all that even a Cadillac should sometimes carry cargo. 1976. By the mid-1970s, the Chevrolet El Camino has already survived more than a decade of identity confusion, and by this point it has become something of a cultural anomaly in American automotive history. It exists in a space that most manufacturers normally avoid, a space between definitions, between categories that buyers are usually very comfortable separating. Cars are supposed to carry people in comfort and style. Trucks are supposed to carry cargo and handle work. But the El Camino refuses to stay in either world completely. And that tension is exactly what defines it. Built by General Motors, the El Camino is based on a passenger car platform, which immediately gives it a different character from traditional body-on-frame pickups. Instead of sitting high and upright like a conventional truck, it has a lower, more streamlined profile. The front end looks almost identical to Chevrolet's full-size sedans of the era. Long hood, wide stance, chrome details that reflect the design language of mid-1970s American cars. From the front, there is nothing unusual. It looks like a comfortable, highway-focused passenger vehicle. But the moment you move past the cabin, the identity shifts completely. The rear section opens into a cargo bed, flat, functional, exposed. Suddenly, the elegant passenger car silhouette transforms into a utility vehicle. And that transformation is what makes the El Camino so visually and conceptually unique. Because unlike a traditional pickup where the cargo bed is part of a clearly defined truck structure, the El Camino integrates the bed into a car body. It is not simply a truck with a different cab, it is a car that has been extended into utility space. This creates a design that feels almost contradictory in motion and in form. The 1976 Chevrolet El Camino Classic, in particular, reflects the styling direction of its time. The mid-1970s are not a period of extreme performance for most American cars. Instead, they are defined by larger bodies, softer lines, and a growing emphasis on comfort over raw power. The El Camino follows this trend closely. It is not a lightweight performance machine in its standard form. It is a comfortable cruiser that happens to have a functional cargo area attached. The Classic designation also reflects Chevrolet's attempt to position the vehicle as more refined within its unusual category. It is not presented as a stripped-down work tool. It is not a rugged industrial pickup. Instead, it is aimed at buyers who want practicality without abandoning passenger car comfort. In theory, this makes the El Camino a very flexible vehicle. It can be used for personal transportation during the week, it can carry materials, tools, or recreational equipment when needed. It can function as a daily driver without the physical bulk of a traditional truck. And for many buyers in suburban or semi-rural environments, that combination is genuinely useful. But despite its practicality, the El Camino always carries an identity problem, because automotive culture is heavily influenced by clear categories. People tend to understand vehicles through simple definitions: car, truck, SUV, sports car, luxury sedan. Each category carries expectations, performance expectations, visual expectations, emotional expectations. The El Camino disrupts that system by existing in multiple categories at once, and that disruption is both its strength and its weakness. Some people see it as clever engineering, a smart compromise that reduces unnecessary separation between vehicle types. Others see it as unnecessary complexity, a solution to a problem they never felt existed. Why not just buy a car? Or, alternatively, why not just buy a truck? This question follows the El Camino throughout its entire production life. And yet, despite that confusion, it continues to exist because there is always a small but consistent group of buyers who understand its purpose. People who want the comfort of a car but occasionally need the utility of a pickup bed without committing fully to either extreme. In that sense, the El Camino is less about solving a technical problem and more about offering a lifestyle option that sits between two established worlds. The 1976 model also arrives during a period when American automotive design is becoming more restrained in performance compared to earlier decades. The horsepower wars of the 1960s are no longer the defining force in the industry. Regulations, fuel economy concerns, and changing consumer expectations have shifted priorities. So the El Camino is not competing as a performance icon in this era. It is competing as a versatile personal vehicle. That shift reinforces its identity as something practical rather than extreme. But practicality does not remove its visual impact. Even in 1976, the idea of a car with a pickup bed still draws attention because it breaks expectation. A sedan-like front end followed by an open cargo area still feels unusual in traffic, and that visual contradiction is part of why the El Camino remains memorable long after its production years. Over time, like many vehicles that do not fit a single category cleanly, the El Camino faces a survival pattern similar to many multi-purpose machines. Many were used heavily because they were practical. They served as daily drivers, work vehicles, personal transport. As a result, they accumulated wear, mileage, and exposure to conditions that gradually reduced the number of well-preserved examples. Others were modified, repainted, or altered to suit owner preferences, further reducing originality. And only a smaller number survive today in clean, factory-correct condition. Historically, however, the El Camino's importance is not in its mechanical innovation, it's in its concept. It represents one of the earliest long-running attempts by a major manufacturer to merge passenger car comfort with pickup utility in a single factory-built vehicle. Long before modern crossover utility thinking became mainstream, the El Camino was already exploring that middle ground, and in doing so, it created a legacy defined not by clear identity, but by contradiction. A vehicle that was never fully a car, never fully a truck, but always something in between. And that's exactly why it remains one of the most recognizable and debated ideas in American automotive history.